Hey everyone, welcome back to INN Gaming. I'm Tony, and I know you haven't seen me in a while, but I want to go over some important changes coming to standard format in Hearthstone. Blizzard announced a series of nerfs coming to the game, specifically 7 of some of the most problematic cards that often are talked about on Reddit, Twitter, any social media, especially forums. So let's get right into that. The first one that they're going to nerf is from the Shaman class. And there's actually 2 in Shaman that they're nerfing, two cards. One of them is Rockbiter Weapon, which is a classic card. So this is pretty much like a standard nerf for the rest of standard, unless they ever buff it again. And they're going from 1 mana to now 2 mana for this card. And the reason this card is kind of controversial is because of the damage outburst potential it has. When equipped with Doomhammer, which is a 5 mana card, it allows it to, instead of having a damage output of 4 a turn with Doomhammer, since it has 1 Fury, you can attack twice. When you attach just 1 to it, your damage outburst per turn goes up to 5 per swing, or 10 in total. And then if you put a second one on, for only 7 mana, your damage outburst goes to 16. That's half health for only on turn 7, potentially. Or turn 6 after you equip it on turn 5, and already do 4 damage. So that's 20 damage, right? 4 on turn 5, and then another 16 on turn 6. It's crazy. And a lot of people think that I'll go ahead and pull up Doomhammer itself. A lot of people think Doomhammer is the problem, and that could be true. This is the classic card. It will be around for a while, and it's possible that this card itself is the problem. But I think I think the nerf to Rockbiter is sufficient for now, simply because it allows it won't have so much left over. Like after, let's say they equip it in 1 turn. Let's say they equip it on turn 10. So they equip Doomhammer, they equip 2 Rockbiters. They only have 3 mana left. All they can fit in after that is maybe like a Lava Burst, or maybe no, not even that, because it would be 9 mana after the nerf. So they'd only have room for a Lightning Bolt, and then you have to wait an entire another turn to use all the burn spells. So I think this is a way that maybe allows, like, you know, the opposing player to last another turn, because they won't have so much burst. That's pretty much it for Rockbiter. Let's move on to Tuskarr Totemic, another kind of controversial card, and people don't like this card simply because there's such a good chance that it can give you a very, very, very good card. Out of the 7 totems, which are the 4 basic, and then there's Totem Golem. Well, I mean, yeah, in standard there's the 7. Totem Golem. Let's see, let's type in Totem. Totem Golem, Manatide Totem. And Flame Tongue. And then the 4 basic. So yeah, there's 7 in standard. I was thinking Vitality. That's old. And a lot of people don't like this card because it generates them a random totem, and oftentimes they'll get a Totem Golem, Manatide Totem, or a Flame Tongue. And these 2 are mostly problematic, Totem Golem and Manatide Totem. It's just because they're so powerful to get out of a 3 mana card. So you're getting a 3/2 body and a 3/4 in stats. It's 6/6 for 3 mana. That's crazy. And that tempo play is so hard to recover from. So now they are nerfing it so that it says, they're now going to nerf it so it says summon a random basic totem, which is the 0/2 taunt, the 1/1, the 0/2 +1 spell power, and the 0/2 heal every friendly minion for 1 at the end of the turn. So I think that is a bit more fair. The reason that they're doing this, they had a very specific reason they didn't want to nerf this into Oblivion and still make it playable in some decks. To quote Blizzard from the website, "We want this card to be an option for decks that take advantage of extra totems through cards like Thing from Below or Primal Fusion, but a weaker option for players looking for standalone, high power level options on turn 3. I think that makes total sense, considering maybe people would actually start playing, you know, Flame Tongue Totem, Manatide Totem, independent of Tuskarr Totemic, and then save Tuskarr for things like Draenei Totem Carver, Primal Fusion, whatever, Thing from Below, things synergize with it. So it's still a powerful deck, or it could still be a very powerful card and generate all these extra, you know, abilities from the spells like this and cards like this, creatures. So I like this change. I think it's very fair, and it still makes the cards playable. The next card that's going to be nerfed is Call of the Wild. I only have 1. Probably should get 2, but maybe not after the nerf. They are bumping this up to 9 mana. And for an 8 mana card to summon all 3 animal companions, you're essentially getting... Well, I mean, you're getting what people would consider like about 12 mana in stats for 8 mana. And you're summoning a 5/2 with charge, and a 2/4 that buffs all creatures on your side of the field by 1 attack, which gives it the 5/2, or the 5 attack on instead of 4 on hover, and then also a 5/4 with taunt. That's a huge tempo play. I mean, you get to do damage, protect your face, and then buff any sort of other creatures that might be on the field. And as well as it being 8 mana right now, there also can squeeze in a hero power on turn 10, and then play another one on turn, the following turn, and squeeze in another hero power. There's just so much consecutive damage, and it's almost impossible to stop unless you throw out some taunts. We still have 3 creatures to deal with. It's different than like playing 8-drop 8/8, where you can take out with a single removal spell. When there's multiple creatures, it's hard to get rid of. So by bumping it up to 9 mana, I think it'll reduce the amount people play this by just a little bit. They might only run 1 because it's a little bit less flexible on turn 10 or turn 9 if they can coin into, well, under having coin at the end of the game. That's a joke. Never mind. The next nerf we're going to cover is Execute. Execute is now going to be buffed up to 2 mana instead of 1. And while this is ultimately will unaffect Control Warrior almost always floats mana anyway, because their game plan is so late game. And a lot of it's floating mana, power up, just dealing with things as they come out, not very proactive. But Dragon Temple Warrior, this is such a valuable tool for them right now. And it's one of the reasons the deck is so strong is they have all these whirlwind activators to do damage to creatures. And for example, let's say you're going against Zoo. Turn 3, they play Darkshire Councilman. In turn 4, they summon 4 1/1s. And while maybe the guy gets, the extra 4 attack because of all the 1/1 summon that turn, the Councilman, and he can deal that 5 damage, next turn, when it's the Dragon Temple Warriors, he's just going to Ravaging Ghoul to kill everything on the field, and then execute the 5/5. He cleared board for 4 mana and developed a 3/3. That's a lot. And so now this will kind of slow down the tempo a bit, and now cost 2 mana. So I think this is ultimately a nerf to just Dragon Temple Warrior. Control Warrior, Cathedral Warrior, any of the later game Warrior decks will be ultimately unaffected. Reno Warrior, some people like that. I think Reno Warrior is cool, but that's besides the point. Charge is the next one. Now Charge is one I was not expecting, but I can understand it would be a problematic card for future card development, which is one of the reasons. They're going to be nerfing this. This is a way changed nerf. This is almost worse on Commander bad, but I think it'll still see play. Instead of being a 3 mana, give a friendly minion +2 attack and charge, it is now a 1 mana, give a friendly minion charge, but it cannot attack heroes. So essentially it becomes more of a trade kind of card. It gives it the ability to trade up. And Blizzard's reasoning for this card to be nerfed in specific, it's kind of a long quote. While we enjoy seeing players explore combo styles of play and will continue to support it in the future, we've seen in the past that the ability to give charge to minions that don't normally have it has been particularly problematic. That's some alliteration right there. And also heavily restricts future cards. So ultimately, OTK Warrior is dead. You can no longer give your your Raging Worgens or Arcane Giants charge. You can't, and well, you could, but they can't attack face. So you can't damage them and then swing for billion damage or whatever. I forget what the actual damage outputs are. I think Raging Worgen can get up to the 40s. And then the Arcane Giant rendition I think you do higher 20s. There may be a way you can do in the 30s. I have to do the math, but regardless, OTK Warrior is dead with this nerf. But it does it does kind of bring up the question whether or not you can start using this with other creatures, such as Sylvanas, Windrunner. Giving Sylvanas charge and making it be able to trade into a creature immediately and take something might be a very valuable option. And maybe you don't want to give up a spot for, maybe you don't want to give up 1 execute to play a charge for a reason like that, or give up maybe a revenge, excuse me, for something like this. But it's an option maybe in Reno Warrior, as we talked about earlier, Reno Warrior. And who knows, maybe even Boogie Monster will be able to get its immediate value by trading into a creature. Highly doubtful because that card kind of sucks, but what can you do? So I think Charge will still be played, but obviously just not in the way it's played now, because it doesn't have the OTK ability anymore. The next one is I think a pretty fair nerf as well. A lot of these nerfs have been very, 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 very fair. And I'm very happy with these so far. We're almost done. We only have 2 left. This one is Abusive Sergeant. His nerf is kind of minor, but instead of being a 1-mana 2/1, give a minion +2 attack this turn, it's a 1-mana 1/1, give this minion +2 attack one turn. So ultimately, it still does the same thing, it just has a slightly weaker body. They decided that this card probably performed a bit too well in aggro decks, and maybe they want to encourage people to start playing some other 1-drops. And maybe only using this for cards that, have some sort of synergy with battle cries, like whether it's Brand double battle cry or, well, I mean, I guess that would pretty much be it. You'd want to run this and maybe more for trades instead of pushing a lot of heavy damage. But who knows? They may want to free up the spot, so people might want to run more things like the nerfed Leper Gnome or the nerfed Knife Juggler. And I think this is a very similar nerf to Knife Juggler. Ultimately, it does the exact same thing, right? Exactly, it does the exact same thing. As it did before, it just is a slightly weaker body. Knife Juggler went from a 3/2 to a 2/2, and now this goes from a 2/1 to a 1/1. Still playable, without a doubt. It'll still be strong in arena, it'll still be strong in aggro decks. So, the last nerf we have is from the Lord of Controversy, Yogg-Saron, Hope's End. Some people's favorite cards, some people's least favorite cards. I compare it to a TV drama, maybe even a TV sitcom. You laugh, you cry, you wonder why you even bothered to look at this card in the first place. Sometimes it does exactly what you need, and sometimes it does not. But it's a lot of controversy right now because of its performance in the competitive scene. There's people who would be winning the entire game. Their opponent plays Yogg-Saron, completely turns the game entirely in their favor, and they didn't do anything but play a 10-mana card. And yes, that is a risk. And why, if this card should have been nerfed is not the question, it's what the nerf is. The nerf says when let's see, exactly what they said is when it's silenced, when it's destroyed, silence, return to the hand, or transformed. So if it's polymorphed, hex, whatever, it'll immediately stop casting. I think it's interesting that they wrote silence in there because while it's an active effect, kind of like if you silence a Knife Juggler, it doesn't have that ability anymore. It's a battle cry, so you think that would finish before it gets. It's weird. I don't understand the silence part of it, but I think it makes sense because if you guys have ever been in a situation where the opponent has maybe a Sylvanas out, and they take your Yogg-Saron when you kill the Sylvanas, Yogg all of a sudden starts casting spells for the opponent, and so it should be kind of thing. When it changes position on the battlefield or gets removed from the battlefield, it should stop. If it changes, it goes to that person. If it gets removed, it should just stop entirely. I think that's more than fair. I think it'll help the competitive scene a bit so people won't automatically run this as the oh shit button. But I'm really hoping it opens up more late game card slots for decks that want to run something like Malygos or Medivh. Spell heavy decks run a lot of spells, of course. So Medivh would be a good option for spells for decks like that, or Malygos that has a lot of burn. And we've seen Malygos, and Malygos and Yogg are both run in Mali Druid. And so I'm curious to see how this is going to affect how many people actually play it. But regardless, I think this is let's see, I got all my notes here, that's good. I think these are great changes. I think it'll be beneficial I think it'll be very beneficial into balancing standard. Shaman got a nerf, Warrior got a nerf. Those are the two strongest decks, or two of the strongest decks. Druid didn't get any sort of nerf, which is interesting considering how well that's performed in the competitive scene. But regardless, Blizzard's finally taking advantage that their game is digital and they can make these nerfs willy-nilly. Of course, they don't want to nerf too much because people craft cards and they don't like seeing the cards they craft get nerfed, but that's why they have the full dust refund. And that might be an issue with, their monetary plan of how they make money, things like that. I understand, but I think ultimately balancing the game is better than just making a couple dollars here and there. Because ultimately, if you have a balanced game, you're going to want more people in. So I think, thank you Blizzard for being proactive in these nerfs. It's going to help the competitive scene a lot, and it'll show us, players of Hearthstone that you really listen to us, and you have to take what we say into consideration, or at least you want to take what we say into consideration. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We wanted to do this and show you the cards and, and show you the nerfs instead of just reading off the page. Anyone can do that. We wanted to kind of show you in game some of these cards and kind of give our insight onto how we feel about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any constructive criticism, or if you have any comments of your own, what you think about the nerfs, what else you think should be nerfed, or maybe what you think should be buffed. Is there any card that's underrepresented that you like but wish it was just a little bit better? We'd be curious to hear that. So thank you guys for watching. I'm Tony with INN Gaming, and happy whatever the hell day it is.